Why, hello and welcome back to all of my fans, and of course you, yes you, my fellow FTFLers, to the longest running weekly episodic fantasy football show out there. That's right, welcome back to the FTFL Weekly Update. And I am not only the host of this award-winning program. No. Not only am I the two-time league champ, Hulkamaniacs, I, of course, am also that voice that whispers to you, go ahead, grab another slice of pie. It really doesn't matter. Because you should enjoy life just the way I am enjoying it and enjoying what's in front of us now. That's right. Welcome back to the show. It is I, Brett Sieber, host of the Weekly Update. Week 4 has now come and gone. I mean, as we look at our season, regular season, 14 weeks, past the quarter pole, not quite to the third pole. I wish that there would be someone who was more of a poll expert. We could take that a lot of different ways. Then again, I suppose if I was a math teacher in Browerville, I could tell you what's between 1/4 and 1/3 of the season. Regardless, what we're starting to see is, well, what teams are the good teams, what teams are not the good teams. And this week, let me tell you, there were 5 of them that were not just good, but great. All 5 teams this week had scores of 100+ points. The last time we had 5 teams in a single week score 100+ more points was week 5 back in 2022, where 6 teams did that. Now, 2021, the last time we had 5 teams score 100+ points in the same week in a winning effort was all the way back down in 2020. And actually, the week where that happened, 7 teams, 7 scored 100 points. The other 3 teams, 98 points. Eric, good showing, not quite 100. Swart, 48.5. Matt, 44.5. Good God, y'all. But that was then. This is now. Big week for 5 teams. Not so great week for another 5. Although not a terrible week, but then again, maybe not the best weeks you could have hoped for. And of course, one of those teams that scored 100+ points, Adam Saltmarsh, puts himself finally in the win column. Good news for him. We are now without a winless team 4 weeks in. That's probably pretty typical. It might happen sooner than that. I know sometimes it maybe happens later than that. One of the teams that did not get a win this week, Peter. This week, we will check in to see where Peter falls on the meter. And lastly, you have to wonder, last year, Jeff Markser started 2-0 and then promptly went on to lose the rest of his games for an entire season. This year, Jeff Markser started 2-0 and now has lost 2 in a row. Is this the beginning of another 14-game losing streak? It would be something if indeed Jeff were to lose 14 straight games again. And then when we vote at next year's draft right here in Waconia, Minnesota, on who wins the cringy, and Jeff would lose to Peter once more because, well, Peter failed to have his keepers. All, of course, which led to all the things we've been talking about in recent weeks. I know if you're Jeff, you're thinking, you know what, my team is probably better. I'm going to tell you it actually is. Let's go ahead and get to the games, and wouldn't you know it, right out the chute, the first thing we're going to visit, the first team we're going to go ahead and have a go with, my hotspot. That's right. We're getting after my hotspot, coming in at 2-1, taking on the Mix and Cocktails at 2-1. And I already told you, Jeff lost. 119.5 for Andy, 88.5 for Jeff. If you're Andy, Bo Nixon, Josh Jacobs both poured in 24 points. Garrett Wilson, 13. Devin A. Chain, the Pittsburgh defense, 12.5. Jamar Chase. I'm thirsty. It's hot in here. By the way, October 1st, August 62nd, take your pick. Jamar Chase, 2.5 points this week. In week 2, Jamar Chase scored 23 points. In the other 3 weeks combined, he is looking at 8 points. 8 points And I don't think it's going to get any better. Jake Browning's probably not the answer. Frustrations are starting to mount. Jamar Chase, best receiver in football, might not be even a top 20 receiver this year in fantasy. I guess that's why we play the games. And if you're my hotspot, boy, after the drubbing you took this week, again, you're thinking, is there any good news? There is. Ashton Genty, number 1 overall pick. We talked about it last week. Jeff's running backs combined, all 3 of them for 11 points. This week, Ashton Genty said, enough's enough. I'm getting up and I'm going to get up and I'm going to show up and show out. 33 points for him, 12 for Roma Dunze. Lamar, 10 points. He might not play this week. Hamstring issue. If he doesn't play, boy, things can get tough for Jeff. Still, the other running backs, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, 5.5 points apiece. Now, this year, over these Jeff's first 4 weeks of the season, he is averaging just over 87 points per contest. Last year at this time, he was about 67.5 points per contest. So yes, this is a better team than Jeff had last year. However, is it a good enough team for Jeff to make his way back into the playoffs? My hotspot falls to 2-2. The Mix and Cocktails rise to 3-1. Next up, the Pack Attack. Coming in at 2-1, taking on Adam Swart and his big band of Linkowitz at 1-2. Eric with the Hondo in this one, which we know that means he was winner, 103 to Adam's 90.5. If you're Eric, the bum poured in 28 points. Amon Ra, 19.5. Run CMC. Peter's keepers continue to benefit Eric, who is also the commissioner. It's worth noting, 13.5 for Javonte Williams, 3 points for Derrick Henry. 11.5 points over his last 3 weeks. By the way, over the last 3 seasons of fantasy, that is Derrick Henry's lowest 3-week total. Something is wrong in Baltimore. Something is wrong with Derrick Henry. Eric's team is kind of stacked, so it may in the end not matter. However, when you have a stud like that and you're counting on great things, 11.5 points over the last 3 weeks is not great things. If you're Adam Swart, welcome back. Patrick Mahomes, 28 points for him. Bucky Irving quietly putting together a really good start of his season, 22.5. James Cook, 15.5. Phillies defense, 13. The other 5, 11.5 points combined. Not a lot of depth on Adam Swart's team, and it shows because he falls to 1-3, while Eric rises to 3-1. Last game here before we get into Peter's meter. No. I may suck at fantasy football, but at least I got my keepers in. Coming in at 2-1. Taking on Make America Great Again at 2-1. Now this week, things kind of blew up on the chat board. Sid and Matt going back and forth. Sid does hold the overall record coming into this at 24-16. I mean, he alluded to that he whoops up on Matt's team every time. What I would think you would have it 40-0. It isn't that, Sid, so maybe not quite. But this case, it absolutely was the point, or it is what happened. 105.5 for Sid, 69 for Matt. If you're Sid, George Pickens in the absence of CeeDee Lamb, big week, 24 points. O'Murray and Hampton in the absence of Najee Harris, big week, 22.5 points. DK, highest point total since week 2 of last year, 20.5 points for him. Malik Neighbors, 1. This is Sid's second player who is now out now Burrow is not out for the season. Neighbors is out for the season. Sid's team too, definitely is stacked. Is he rounding out, returning to form? Time will tell. If you're Matt, this was just an off week. Over the first 3 weeks of the season, Matt was averaging 94 points a contest. So Matt's team is definitely better. 69, definitely not representative. JJ, Justin Jefferson, 13. Caleb Williams, after a record week last week, 10 points this week. Again, things got heated. They will play again. This rivalry, high school friends, Southern Conference, comrades, we'll see them dance one more time. Week 14. Will it be for a playoff spot? Will it be for first place in the division? Boy, oh boy. I hope so. Matt, you haven't won a title. I know it says right in your the name of your team. However, I believe in you, and I would love to see you whoop up on Sid. All right, so it is that time. Speaking of being whooped up upon, some of that is by other teams, and of course, some of that is self-inflicted. Well, a lot of that is self-inflicted. That's why he's the three-time reigning, defending, undisputed Cringy Award winner, Peter Vinci. Where is he on the meter?
Fireball.
All right, well, I've got Peter's meter whipped out for all to see. And, well, you're kind of going again. Where is Peter? Oh, wait. Sliding up into the slot comes Peter, and hold on. Ah! There he is, and he's dancing around his meter. Where will he fall this time? And, of course, last time he was kind of right near the dumpster, feeling the flames of pain. And I am sad and sorry to report this week, Peter, you are about to jump in to that dumpster. Not only did you lose again this week, dropping your record to 1-3, that is your third loss in a row, but adding insult to injury, Amon-Ra St. Brown is currently the second wide receiver in all the FTFL, and Run CMC is the number 4 running back in all the FTFL. Had you taken care of the little things, the details, they would have been on your team, and the season may be heading in a different direction. But you, my friend, are jumping in to the dumpster. I won't say you're quite there yet. We've seen it. We know you can be better, but I'm not sure it's going to happen. So for this week, Peter rests at the far end of the dangerous zone of his meter.
Fireball.
All right, back to the games. Here we go. The Hulkamaniacs coming in at 1-2. I got like a hair on my face somewhere here. There's several hairs on my face, I know. Coming in at 1-2, taking on Team Dickweed at 2-1. Now, again, Team Dickweed run by John Linkowitz. And as you know, Bart and now apparently Bort are on the hunt. They are trying to find John Linkowitz, prove that John Linkowitz is still alive and is not a bot, a family member, some rando that was handed over John's computer credentials to see, is John Linkowitz indeed still amongst us? For this week, John did submit a lineup. It mustered 84 points, not enough for the highest score in the league this week, 126 for me. And in some ways, this was the all-rookie team versus the all-pro team. When you draft rookies, you get rookie results. When you draft and trade for pros, John, you get all-pro results. Jordan Love, 24. Puka Nacua, 22.5. Bijan Robinson, the smooth 20. Travis, no longer wanted by Jeff Markser, ETN at 18.5. And oh my gosh, we're not even saying that name. Oh my gosh, you know what? Mana, 4-time Lucky Pants, breaking in errands, whatever champ, Mana. This is my hotspot. Anyways, no longer wanted by Jeff Markser, ETN, 18.5. Jahmyr Gibbs, a 13 points, a low week for him. The Packers defense, vaunted Packers defense, boy oh boy. Lots of questions about them on a bye this week, and actually I'm pretty sure I sent them packing this week just because I needed to pick up another defense. Only had 1 point. In the end, didn't necessarily matter for John. Jackson Dart, 16. Tyler Warren, 12.5. Saquon Barkley, 12 points. By the way, the Eagles are 4-0. I don't know if you've been paying attention. The Eagles are 4-0, yet Saquon Barkley is like 3 and change a carry. Low 3 and change a carry. Yet at the same time, the Eagles are averaging 138 pass yards a week. That's 138. Like, where is the offense coming from? What is hhappening? How are the Eagles 4-0? I don't really know. John's defense, Denver, got him 10 points. In the end, John falls to 2-2. I rise to 2-2 and now am tied for second place in the division behind the Mixin' Cocktails. Last game of the week, the Valhalla Vandals coming in at 1-2, taking on the Radioactive Monkeys, who are 0-3. But I told you, off the schneid, the O is no mo. 104 points for Adam, 71.5 points for Peter. If you're Adam, the waiver wire darling after that week 1, Quentin Johnston, third-year receiver down in San Diego, LA, who they've been kind of waiting on to round into shape, has clearly done that this season. 20 points for him. Jalen, all I do is score 1-yard touchdown. Hurts, 18 points. The Texans defense, 14. Jake Bates, 13. DeAndre Swift, a dozen. Maybe one of DeAndre's best games in a while. Kenneth Gainwell on the bench, 23 points. I know you're probably not thinking, well, am I going to start the backup running back for the Pittsburgh Steelers? But I guess maybe you should be. Woody Marks, by the way, the running back that looks like he's going to be the guy down in Houston. If Houston's offense ever gets going and doesn't get to play, well, Tennessee every week, 20 points for him. So Adam does have maybe some depth behind Jonathan Taylor, not even on this update this week, tells you what he didn't do. Anyways, for Peter, Justin Herbert, 16, Harrison Butker, 14, Tyreek Hill, 7 points. The last 7 points he'll score because, of course, that gruesome, awful knee injury on Monday night. He is out for the season. Peter does have players on the bench. It is going to come down to, can he play the right guys in the right weeks? He doesn't necessarily have studs, but he has solid contributors. And, again, you got to pick the right ones, or you end up in the dumpster. I guess we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's do the stud and the dud in next week's games and get up out of here. Start of the week, George Pickens, 24 points, his best week probably he's ever had in the absence of CeeDee Lamb, helping lead Make America Great Again to the win. And as much as I don't want to talk about him, the bum, 28 points in a winning effort for the Pack Attack. Dud of the week, I don't know if I've done this before. If so, it's rare, where I pick a player from a winning team. But Derrick Henry, you are the dud. 3 points. We talked about it. 11.5 points over the last 3 weeks. That first week, you were running over grown men like they were papier-mâché dolls. Now you can't run past anyone, over anyone, hold on to the football. There's problems in Baltimore. You know what? It's amazing. I have the list up next. Winning cures a lot of what ails. And so for now, it's just Josh Allen, the bum, and of course luck, which clearly maybe is on my side now. I don't know. I'd like to think it's not all that. But then again, I've talked a lot on the show over the years that it is exactly that. Now, who will have luck as we head into week 5? Here are the games of mixing cocktails at 3-1, taking on the Hulkamaniacs at 2-2. The Pack Attack coming in at 3-1, taking on, I may suck at fantasy football, but at least I got my keepers in at 2-2. Make America Great Again at 3-1, taking on the Radioactive Monkeys. My hotspot looks to get run through by Team Linkowitz at 1-3, and the Valhalla Vandals at 1-3, taking on Team Dickweed at 2-2. All right, well, that'll put the bow on this show as we now cross over the quarter third mark, if you will, into the second stanza of the season, where we will start to see some separation and probably some more trades. Should have mentioned, top of the show, A.J. Brown got traded for Malik Neighbors and a second-round pick. A lot of faith in what A.J. Brown hasn't done this year, and a lot of faith in that Malik Neighbors is coming back at full strength. Interesting trade. If you're Swart, you're looking to the future. If you're Sid, you're just looking for help. And you know what? May both of you find neither. I know that was mean, but hey, I've got my own team to worry about. And with that, we'll go ahead and put a bow on the show once more. And until next time, peace! Who dis? Well, hello, and I guess I'm kind of new at this whole PDA thing, but I think you know, or if you don't, well, I guess this is what the PDA is for. But we are looking for John Linkowitz. Now, I don't know if you've seen him. I don't know if you know who he is. So let me tell you a little bit about John Linkowitz. He was born on June 7th, 1979, which is quite a long time ago, in Virginia, not Virginia like Minnesota, but out east, not the South Virginia, but like the I think East Virginia is what they call it. But yeah, so that's where he was born. He spent his entire childhood years, and then he ended up at Bemidji State University with Brett and Sid and Jeff and Adam and all those guys. And then, of course, you know, well, he was part of the FTFL and all of that kind of stuff. You know, and eventually moved to Park Rapids. He was working at Nevis Lumber for a long time, which was he dubbed the armpit of northern Minnesota. This now is the most recent picture we have of him at his new job at Hilltop Lumber. Now, you can notice he's in the back. You can't see his legs. I can't tell if this is even like just a cardboard cutout or what, but That's as good as we can, I guess, get. So be on the lookout. Now, I have also heard he could be lured out of hiding by some single barrel jack. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like some sort of weird card game or some sort of kinky act. You know what? I'm not here to ask questions. Besides, have you seen John Linkowitz? If you think so, please reach out to the show. We'd love to help you, or help us help you, find John Linkowitz. Thank you.